Alright, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to another video here on Very Cold Lasagna. And this is a late and out of date, but also mini Smackdown and AEW Rampage review for September 10th, 2021. Now, I wanted to do this review after Smackdown, but it was pretty late, to be honest with you. Again, I get Smackdown and AEW Rampage here on the West Coast at 10 o'clock. So, unlike, those special East Coast people, like, they get it early. Even though the time change, it's pretty much the same. I don't. So, we get it on tape delay here on the West Coast. So, that's something. I hate that. But anyway, I saw some things on social media regarding SmackDown. And because I honestly forgot about SmackDown, I didn't give a shit about SmackDown prior to watching it because, some things happened, and I was like, oh shit, I actually want to see this now. I want to see this episode of SmackDown, so I waited until the West Coast feed was coming. I think it was like 8 o'clock or some shit, and then I actually sat down, watched a full episode of SmackDown for once, not on fast forward, not on 2x speed, and like, wow, that episode was like not like great or anything, not like, oh, this was like good like by any standards. I mean, it was solid. I'll give it that. It was solid and but like borderline good, but not like to the point. It's like so good that I'm like gonna praise it to death. But can we please, like, I'll just say this. Can we please get more WWE shows like that, please? Or can we get, like, wrestling shows like that in general, please? Because the SmackDown show we got on Friday night was honestly the best show that we got all year. From whether it's WWE or AEW. Like, all out is overrated. Double or Nothing is overrated. That SmackDown, that Super SmackDown in Madison Square Garden, it was honestly enjoyable. It was pretty damn enjoyable. I mean, there's like one bad segment, but aside from that, pretty damn solid show that I was honestly able to sit through and not have to go back and watch it on fast forward. And honestly, props to WWE for actually trying for once. For trying, giving us stories, matches with stories and characters. And, it was all matches with a purpose. Not just all these flips and kicks and all these cucks of suck style of matches. It was a well-balanced show on Friday night. So, let's talk about this show and then we'll talk about AEW Rampage. So, you start off the show with Roman Reigns. He comes out with the rest of the bloodline. He wants Madison Square Garden to acknowledge him. And the crowd is chanting for Roman. And that energy in that crowd, that MSG crowd, was so good. It was not. They're not trying to hijack the show or anything. They're actually a pretty casual, normal crowd. They were pretty respectful. So that was so good. At the same time, though, it was very hard to tell whether those were canned in chants, like piped in chants, or that was like legit fans, chanting, popping for whatnot. But I guess from what I could tell from like some videos I saw on social media, it was mostly genuine, legit chants and cheers and boos and like the legitimate, genuine reaction. But anyway, and then out comes Brock Lesnar to a massive reaction, and Paul Heyman is like literally once again about to shit his pants. And he's asking, out of all the champions, we could have went after the WWE champion, Bobby Lashley, but why are you going after Roman? And Brock Lesnar stops him from talking. And he asks Paul Heyman, it's like, why didn't you tell Roman I was coming at SummerSlam? And this was so good. Family drama within both Paul Heyman's clients. Because that got Roman Reigns pissed off. You saw it in his face. He's staring down Paul Heyman's like, you didn't tell me Brock Lesnar was coming? And you didn't tell him that I was going to be there? Bruh. So Roman Reigns, the Usos left Paul Heyman to deal with Brock Lesnar. And Paul Heyman's so dumb. He's just like, oh, okay, they're gone. Like, my ass got fired. So, okay, back to Brock Lesnar. So, ladies and gentlemen, he does his usual thing. My name is Paul Heyman. I'm the advocate for the reigning, defending, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Brock Lesnar. So, Brock Lesnar was all excited. He was like, that was great, Paul. That was great. Now, just before Roman Reigns fires you, accept my challenge. What challenge? My challenge for Roman Reigns' Universal Championship. And if you don't, you got 5 seconds to do so. And then he started counting down. The crowd started counting down with him. And then once he reached 2, he picked his large ass up for an F5. But Roman Reigns saved him. He was like, as if it was like family. Like, so even though Paul Heyman kind of like dicked him out, Roman Reigns was still, treating him as like his own bloodline, Samoan bloodline. So that was cool. So Roman Reigns comes in, Superman punches Brock Lesnar, but it doesn't really do much. So in comes the Usos, because Roman was about to get F5'd himself. They super kick Brock Lesnar, but that does nothing. And Lesnar takes them to Suplex City. Roman Reigns is just watching in horror as Lesnar stands tall. Pretty good shit, man. And it creates this internal family divide, but that obviously gets, ignored later on, but still, it was really good to see Brock Lesnar, like, freaking talk, because he was an underrated talker back in 2003. Like, I don't know why that's the thing. Why didn't WWE let him talk as much as he did, like, pre-2021? It made no sense. So anyway, overall good segment. I'm excited to see what they do with this story once they're done with Finn Balor. We'll get to Finn Balor in just a second. Roman Reigns later confronted Paul Heyman towards the end of the show and asked him, I saved you. I saved you. Like, implicitly, because he was family. Even though, he didn't tell him that Brock was coming. Speaking of which, he asked him about that again. Why didn't you tell me Brock was coming at SummerSlam? And Paul Heyman had no answer for that. So, it continues that compelling drama. Why isn't Paul Heyman telling Brock this? And why isn't Paul Heyman telling Roman this? So, Paul Heyman is like the middleman of, his clients being unhappy. So, interesting where this turns out next. But first, they got to deal with the Demon Seaman, guys. Finn Balor. The Demon Seaman is back. So, jumping ahead to the main event, the Street Jobbers win against the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos, by disqualification, though. So, they don't get the tag team titles because Roman Reigns attacks Montez Ford, chokes him out with the guillotine, and Roman Reigns is like, okay, Brock Lesnar wants to fight me, then fine. I will fight Brock Lesnar after I take care of Finn Balor's dumbass. And then all of a sudden, the lights go out, and then a bunch of red effects come in, and we already know what's going to happen. The Demon Seaman, Finn Balor. Yeah. It's the Demon Seaman, Finn Balor. Look, I like the face paint, but what's literally the difference between the Demon Finn Balor and regular Finn Balor? It's like, is he any more unstoppable than The Fiend? Like, at least The Fiend was unstoppable. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, was unstoppable. Like, nearly, at least. Like, we've seen the Demon Finn Balor, like, how many times now? Like, a few on the main roster. And he pretty much is the same Finn Balor, but with face paint. So, he's going to be fighting Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules. There's probably going to be a stipulation placed in there, too. Probably Extreme Rules match there. So, yeah. That was the show closer. And, the ending was crap. But there's still some things we have to cover. here in this mini SmackDown review. But I mean, it was an ending, but overall the opener was good with Brock, Paul Heyman, and Roman. And the main event was alright. It was whatever. We had a 10-man tag team match between Shinsuke Nakamura, Rick Boogs, the Mysterios, and Big E taking on the heels, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, Bobby Roode, Apollo Crews, and Dolph Ziggler. So, I mean, it was a fine match. I'll give it that. It was a fine match. But the biggest thing I loved from this, was Sami Zayn, in a New York Knicks jersey. He was saying, in order for us to win, he brought someone out so his team could win. And he brought out a New York legend. Get ready, because he brought out to help a New York legend from the Atlanta Hawks, Trae Young. Oh my God, that was so beautiful. He trolled the Knicks crowd, the MSG crowd, so good. Vince, props to you for bringing in Trae Young from the Atlanta Hawks. For context, for people that don't watch the NBA or sports in general, Trae Young is a basketball player, a point guard for the Atlanta Hawks, the basketball team in Atlanta. And back in, I think it was May or June. I don't know when the playoffs were, but anyway, the point was, in the first round of the 2021 NBA playoffs, Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks were facing the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks were the 4 seed in the playoffs, while the Atlanta Hawks were the 5 seed in the first round. Trae Young whooped their candy asses so bad, and Trae Young pretty much established himself as a villain by being all cocky and telling them to shut up. So pretty much, yeah. MSG and the New York crowds pretty much still hate him. So he came out. The match was still going on as normal. And behind the referee's back, and towards the end of the match, Sami Zayn was distracting the referee. Trae Young grabs Rey Mysterio. I'm like, bruh, you really gotta do that to my favorite wrestler? So he grabs Trae Young. Trae Young grabs Rey Mysterio. He gets ejected from the match. And Big E wins the match for his team with a big ending on Sami Zayn, and that was a fun match. I mean, nothing I'll remember in the next 10 years, but great stuff. Great troll job. Great heel heat from Sami Zayn. Good work there. We had also probably the bad segment of the night, and that was the SmackDown contract signing. Bianca signed it easily, while Becky was being a stale and repetitive and also stubborn dumbass as usual by not signing the contract. And he was like, what if I don't sign the contract? What if I choose not to? And Bianca was egging her on to sign it. And then Becky was going on this rant about how she came back for these fans at the last minute. She had to leave her daughter at home. And she signed it anyway. So, yeah. It was pretty backwards thinking. It's I'm not going to sign it, but I'm going to sign it anyway. What? So, yeah, that was pretty much the only bad thing. And also, why is Becky trying so hard to be like Conor McGregor? With this stupid ass attire. She is trying way too damn hard to be a badass when she's not. It's really stupid. Like I said, it's stupid, it's stale, and repetitive when she's trying hard, really hard, to be like someone she's not. But anyway, I digress. Then we had probably the match of the night, Edge versus Seth Rollins 2, a rematch from SummerSlam, and I gotta say, the storytelling in this match, the pace of this match that both of these guys told, really good. Really good. And we could knock Seth Rollins for how he does when it comes to promos and character work, but my God, Like, he once again proved that he could, like, his best element is his ring work and at least trying to tell a story in the ring. He at least tries to do, like, the key thing in the ring. So, Seth Rollins, instead of targeting the neck like he did at SummerSlam, which was his downfall, he instead tries to pick apart literally limb from limb on Edge's body. So, he slowly makes his way to Edge's neck by going after the leg, going at his abdomen area, and then eventually, like, in a heated moment, he pushes the referee aside, and behind the referee's back, he dick kicks Edge, and that sets up for a sequence of events. He super kicks Edge multiple times, and then in the finish, he curb stomps Edge on the neck, and that knocks him out pretty much. So Seth Rollins gets the win in a pretty contested match, in a really, really damn entertaining match. So Seth Rollins wins. He's pretty much like emotionless. He's like, I don't know how to feel. While Edge is being stretchered out of the arena, in the hospital, going to a hospital after Seth Rollins like curb stomp. And I guess it's a way to extend the feud for one more match. And I'm honestly not opposed to it. They could literally have one more match. And I just hope that it's a stipulation, you know. Like, I think I mentioned this in the second go-around, like, after SummerSlam. In my SummerSlam review, that they need to have a stipulation. Whether it's something at Extreme Rules, or I honestly think that they should push it to Survivor Series. Now they went with the injury angle with Edge, pushing him off the stretcher. Like, did Seth Rollins re-injure or re-paralyze Edge's neck? That's an interesting element. Could they possibly push that off to Survivor Series? And, well, at the same time, what are you going to have Seth Rollins do for a month and a half? I don't know. We'll see. But if they're going to have one third and final match, I'm not opposed to it. I just like to have some sort of stipulation, because to capitalize on the intensity of that rivalry. Sorry. I think that was pretty much the basis of SmackDown. There was something that was cut that was involving Selena Vega, Toni Storm, Carmella, and I think Liv Morgan. So it was a match pretty much designed to honor Zelina Vega's dad for 9/11. Yeah, people were complaining about that online. Like, there's a hashtag called "Give SmackDown Women a Chance," and I'm like, guys, come on. Do we really need to do this whole like movement? Like, I get it. Zelina Vega wanted to honor her dad, which is cool. I think it's just there's just so much going on in the show that they didn't have room for it. They have to understand that. There's just so much that they could fit that there's not going to be room for everyone. I do think, though, that they should have made a compromise. Do something on like a YouTube pre-show, or like in the dark segment, instead of like Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley in the dark show, like pre-show. Have that match to like get the show going. I don't know, like, you know, like meet some middle ground, so everyone would be happy. But anyway, nothing like people shouldn't be complaining about this. People shouldn't have started a trend over it. It's like, it happens. Alright? So that was SmackDown for you. Overall, pretty enjoyable show. I probably missed something, but I think that was everything that I talked about. So, honestly, the best show of the year. The best show of the year. All out, Double or Nothing, fuck those shows. Yeah, I personally enjoyed this show. So, let's talk a little bit about AEW Rampage. I know this mini review turned into a regular review, but whatever. Let's talk a little bit briefly about AEW Rampage. You had Chris Statlander, Riho, and Ruby Soho defeat Britt Baker and her squad, Jamie Hayter and Reba, in a 6-woman tag team match. I personally didn't care for it, but I like Britt Baker. I like Chris Statlander, for the what. But no, they can wrestle too. And Jamie Hayter, she's looking good too. But yeah, otherwise this was a whatever match. Oh yeah, and then Andrade beat Pac in their supposed to be scheduled All Out match. And this was a weird thing too. Why did Andrade turn on Chavo Guerrero afterwards? Like, the dude was your mouthpiece. Like, why are you going to turn on him? Like, yeah, he cheated to win, and Chavo called out on him, but you're really going to turn on him for that? Like, your only mouthpiece? Now, he's going to, like, try to cut promos when he sucked at it, when he was exposed on a prime time level that he can't cut promos. Really? I don't know. Whatever he wants to do, I guess. So in the main event, you had Max Caster beat not Max Caster. You had Brian Pillman Jr. defeat Max Caster. I necessarily wouldn't put this in the main event slot. I mean, I get it. Brian Pillman Jr. is fighting in the honor of his dad and in front of his hometown fans of Cincinnati. But I mean, it is what it is. I will say, like, I really like Max Caster. Still don't understand why they suspended him. I thought the suspension was stupid. I don't think it was that offensive, what he did to get him suspended. But anyway, I love his raps. Like, his latest one about Joe Burrow. I'm going to take out his knees like Joe Burrow. Good job. Like, the crowd might not bought into it, but I personally did. I loved every second of it. For context, Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals quarterback, went down last season with a torn ACL injury, and I love every single second of that disc. I hope Joe Burrow was watching that, taking that as motivation. But anyway, after the match, the Acclaimed attacked Pillman Jr., and out came Jon Moxley, another Cincinnati native, to save the day, and the two stand tall. And that's probably going to be a tag team match on Dynamite. So that was your AEW Rampage review. And as long as your SmackDown review, overall, Rampage sucked. But I liked Max Caster and Dr. Britt Baker and Statlander. And SmackDown was pretty enjoyable. I'll give it that. But yeah, that was your mini turned into a regular review of SmackDown and AEW Rampage. What do you guys think about the SmackDown from this past week from Madison Square Garden? Super SmackDown! Let me know in the comments below. And I probably assume that it's probably just going to go back to the same old shit this coming week. And yeah, I know, I'd say that I'm not going to be talking about wrestling as much or at all for the rest of the year with football back. But this was an interesting show, okay? Like, if pro wrestling gives me good shit like this, I will praise it and talk about it. If it continues to give me shit, if it continues to give me bad shit, then I won't talk about it as much, and I will also continue to shit on it in a bad way. But yeah, I like this stuff from this week. I like the SmackDown show from this week. And yeah, I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments. But anyway, that's it from me. I am DylanLasagna from Very Cold Lasagna. And as always, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of pro wrestling and sports in general. And until next time, peace out.